So Brexit is going to bring back the plague. Let's have a look. Hello everyone and welcome to this episode of Heiser Says. Now, Brexit. There's a series of newspaper reports, articles, and really fear propaganda appearing all throughout the UK and other countries, which could best be summarized as Project Fear, where they're trying to scare people about the prospect of Brexit because, the reporter, journalist class don't want to abide by the popular vote, one could say. So the latest that I just discovered today, which is a few days old, is about plagues of rats. So the plague is returning because of Brexit. Apparently Britain, the UK, can't handle their own garbage. And if they get out of the EU, they'll be swarmed with plagues of rats. So let's have a look at this article. Fears a no-deal Brexit could unleash a plague of rats if waste exports halted. Okay? Well, here we go. A no-deal Brexit could end up unleashing a plague of rats as waste exports are halted and our landfills overflow. Environment Secretary Michael Gove wrote to the European Energy and Environment Subcommittee to set out planning for what would happen in the event of us crashing out of the bloc on March 29. You know what would happen? You would find countries that are not part of the EU. You would find private businesses based in countries that aren't restricted by the EU that would take your rubbish, your waste, for money. It's that simple. When you're not trapped in this, overburdened community where Brussels controls your every thought and breath, it appears, you have more freedom. And I know it's been a long time since Britain has had that, so maybe that's why these people don't realize that there's more to the world than Europe. There's all these other countries around the world. There really are. This is just fear propaganda for people who really get all their media just from the television, and they'll buy into it. Probably targeting old people. As his note confirms, waste sites in the southeast of England will be allowed to overflow with waste on a case-by-case basis. Well, isn't that what happens in England? During Thatcher's time, garbage was just piling up on the streets with the strikers and the unionists. The left, the socialists, they love their rubbish everywhere. It really gets that Soviet-esque type of feel, inefficient government workers. Corbyn would love it. Best for Britain's supporter, here we go. Veranda Sharma. That's a real British name, isn't it? A real British name. I'm having enough trouble with all the pronunciation on these bloody articles. That's a real British name. This shows once and for all that Brexit is rubbish. No, it doesn't. And I love the pun there. You've got to give them props to that pun. We are now facing the fact that tips will fill up, rats on our streets and bins are overflowing. You have to ask, was it worth it? Oh boy. I mean, can anyone take this seriously? Can anyone? Come on. This isn't that hard to solve. Worst case, they'll just fire off some incinerators and start burning it. Or they'll just store it in landfill, let it overflow a bit, and then distribute it when they can. It's not the end of the world. Okay? Is the EU a completely controlled government bloc? Aren't there private businesses there that can deal with these things? Here in Australia, all our recycling now, China's refusing to take it, so a lot of it's getting stored and just getting dumped. It's a bit of a joke in many ways. There are particular worries about the southeast as it will be hardest hit if waste exports are delayed at Dover. You know what you could do? You could stop bringing so many foreigners into your countries, these economic refugees that are living with a much higher environmental impact in this first world nation, and let them maybe develop at their home nation, then you wouldn't have these environmental problems. No, we can't say that. No, that's racist, Florian. What are you saying? Mr. Grove wrote, the Environment Agency is ready to respond to a request from industry for additional storage of waste and will process any such requests as promptly as it can. In the event of a no deal causing stockpile, the Environment Agency is able to issue an enforcement position to allow waste sites to go over the permitted levels on a temporary case-by-case basis. So all it is changing a bit of paperwork, and they put a bit more rubbish there. Okay, that's all it is. This is not the end of the world. We're not actually getting the plague. And it just shows you just what these people are putting forward, why they're reporting on things like this. Shouldn't they be reporting the fact that they have a government that isn't fulfilling a mandate from the people? Or that you've got such a weak and pathetic leader that the UK is going to be turned into a bloody puppet state of the EU, even if they leave. She should really have taken Trump's advice and just sued and just left. The news comes after reports emerged that environment officers fear we would struggle to export waste as well as livestock, leading to growing mounds of rubbish and slurry. Well, then you can process it. So they're playing the environmental angle there, right there. An internal memo said odors will obviously be an issue as the stockpiled waste putrefies. An Environment Agency spokesman said a process was in place to ensure waste could still be exported after a no-deal Brexit. Oh, well, there you go. Look at that. They've already got it in place. What's the point of this article then? Tory Brexiteer Andrew Bridgen insisted this is people worrying over nothing. Yeah, it is. That's Project Fear. All these articles are Project Fear. It's to instill fear in people so they won't dare to leave the EU. The day we leave the EU, even with no deal, our rules will still be the same. It will be interesting. We're living in an interesting time. I think people are starting to wake up and realize that this whole push for rapid, let's say, I'd call it unnaturally rapid globalization is starting to get a kickback. And people realize, no, we still want to maintain our quality of life. We're not willing to sacrifice quality of life for some ideals of people in ivory towers or, the reporter class who are separated from the consequences of their decisions, or for the positions they're putting forward. They're completely separated from any of the consequences. And people are starting to realize, no, that's why you have Trump. That's why you have Brexit. Okay, that's why you have all these right-leaning political groups growing in Europe, in Australia, throughout the world. It will happen bit by bit. Early this week, Theresa May secured Parliament's backing to reopen talks with Brussels. The PM hopes to strike a deal that does not include the Irish border backstop and could finally win a majority in a Commons vote. She reports back to Parliament on February 13. Meanwhile, Miss May today begged MPs to stop trying to force a second EU referendum, insisting there will never be a Commons majority for it. Yeah, that's insane. How could you personally, a member of Parliament, a representative of your people who was voted in, your existence in that role is the result of a vote. How could you completely have no respect for that process? Is it cognitive dissonance? Are they living in a delusion? Is it just hypocrisy that they can't see? Let me know. What do you think in the comments? For me, it just seems absurd. She wrote in an article, put your efforts behind securing a better Brexit deal for all of us. Oh, they should just back out. Honestly, put some troops on the border and back out. So there is another place in Europe that has a huge rat problem, a really big rat problem, a problem where people are urinating on the streets as well. Paris. And a big part of it is to do with the large number of slums that are happening in Paris. And I found this image. This is from let's say a live rat update map where people could report if they have a rat, and then the council workers could go and deal with it, maybe to kind of address it. But, if you're not familiar with it, I'm not going to show any videos of it because I'd like you to look it up. Just look up rat slums or slums in Paris, 2018, 2019, and you'll see how horrific it is. And they have all of the EU. They're in the EU. And yet, Paris, where you've got huge refugee slums throughout the portions of the city, and now you have a rat crisis, disease spreading crisis. They didn't need Brexit to get theirs. They got it other ways. So guys, let me know what you think. Do you think Project Fear is working? Are these people serious in wanting to have another referendum, these politicians? Would you consider it treason? Is it, should we go back to the old way? Is it if you're traitorous? Let me know what you think. Guys, please like, share, and subscribe. Ding the bell to see my daily updates, and I will see you all again tomorrow. Bye for now.